Pennsbury High School, welcome to week 2 of the playoff edition of In the Huddle. I'm Kevin Cooney from the Bucks County Courier-Times, along with Matt Barr here. Drew Markol from the Intelligencer. And Drew, what's with the shorts?
Well, Kev, since we are at Pennsbury, this is the tip of the cap to former Pennsbury coach Chuck Kane. For those of you who remember him from the 70s, not only did he win a lot of games, but he also only wore a white short-sleeve shirt and a tie. But he wore long pants, too, to every game. But I'm wearing the shorts to honor him while we are here, and yes, it is cold.
Could have worn black and orange and got the same effect. We begin our conversation this week with a look at the District 1 playoffs, and before we get to the actual games, Drew, District 1 has decided to have their Quad A title game and then possibly their AAA at a neutral site on turf to avoid any problems. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, as I've been saying for weeks and weeks, and you know this, I'm a traditionalist. You play all season to get the highest seed you possibly can, and with that comes a home game and the championship game. And now they want to go do this so they can maybe fit a few more bodies in. I don't like it at all. I mean, if I'm North Penn and I'm number 1 seed and I get to the championship game, let me play at home.
I understand the logistics of it, though. I mean, when you look at the amount of people that will attend, when you look at
there's going to be a huge crowd at the semifinals.
But you also look at the press box requirements that some of these places are going to take. I mean, television will probably cover the game. I think that really it's a big deal, and I think the PIAA actually is probably making the right call on this one.
Okay, well,
no hanky-panky with the field possibly as far as ordering it down and stuff. I really think that this was something that they decided to do that they felt out of necessity. We'll start with the 3 Quad A games, and we'll begin up in Lansdale. North Penn will host Abington in a rematch of the old National Conference days, and Drew, Abington's traditionally struggled against North Penn. What makes you think that they can compete now?
Well, a lot of folks have struggled against North Penn, but the quarterback for Abington, Sam Kind Jr., is a very nice player. And you don't see many teams in high school that throw the ball. So, if you're not ready for it, and you got a kid who comes in and throws it, 25, 30 times and has some success, if I'm Abington, that's the route I'm trying to go. And if I'm getting into a shootout with them, well, maybe I try to go that way.
I think also when you look at it, can Abington speed match up with North Penn speed? And that's something that not a lot of teams in this area can do.
I don't think so. North Penn, their weapons, we talked about them before with Ronnie Akins and Tyler Smith. The quarterback Justin Davey can run. They're awfully hard, for 4 quarters. You look last week, Adams, gave a fight for a half. Good game. Second half, North Penn pulls away, makes it look even.
We'll also now look at the Neshaminy and Ridley. Neshaminy at a 3 seed coming off and playing a rematch of last year's District 1 semifinals. And Drew, with Neshaminy, here are 2 powerful programs, 2 of the better programs in District 1 over the years. What do you expect out of this one?
If you look at last year's game, Ridley lays it on pretty good, 27-7 in the semifinals. But that Neshaminy team, it was almost a complete, turnover from a year ago. Now Neshaminy's at home, played, pretty well, in their opener last week. Ridley did okay against Quakertown. They shut them out. They shut out a pretty good offensive team, but psychologically, I don't think there's that much of a barrier for Neshaminy this year because they have the home game, they're the higher seed. I would give them an edge.
I think Ridley, the one thing is Ridley's defense, take away last week's game, Ridley's defense has not been as good this year as it has been in the past. That's what really kind of, messed up the works last year for Neshaminy. I think that's a big key. I think Neshaminy should win this game, probably in the 10 to 14 point range.
I agree, but I look at Coach Schmidt. I'm not sure he is unloosened all the reins on his team yet, and showing some wrinkles that maybe he's been hiding because he didn't need them. Right. Frankly, he didn't need them. Well, now you're down to the final 8. Now you need them.
But now he kind of needed them against Pennsbury a couple weeks ago.
He did and he didn't. The loser of that game wasn't, going to fall that far. But you don't want to show your hand. You don't have to. So maybe they throw a little bit more, or just add a couple of new things.
Speaking of Pennsbury, they're playing the great unknown in this tournament for us up here. Garnet Valley is undefeated, number 2 seed, has a ton of kids. And a really good defense. Mm-hmm. But Pennsbury, I think a lot of people appear to believe, is the favorite in this game.
Well, after what Pennsbury did to Pencrest, and I talked with some coaches about that game, and a lot of them favored Pencrest, and Pennsbury goes out and smokes them. So, you know, that's got to tell you something right there that, you know, they talk about a confidence builder, you know, for a high school team to go out and do that. In Garnet Valley, they're undefeated. They reached the Class A state final last year. This is not, you know, in AAA. Now they moved up to Quad A, but you know, this is not, you know, some Johnny-come-lately. You know, they know what they're doing. But you know, last week they played Pennsbury. I mean, they played Penridge, beat them 21-7. But their top runner, Tim Kaiser, didn't play in that game.
Right.
There's questions of, does he have just a slight knee injury, or is it a complete tear? You know, maybe they saved him thinking they could beat Penridge without him. Now, if the kid can play, now you're looking at playing Pennsbury. If I'm, you know, Garnet Valley, I gotta use all my weapons.
And I think the one thing that really helps Pennsbury is look at their schedule. Frankfort, playoff team. Glen Mills, playoff team. Abington, Chamonix. You're talking playing 4 tough games against playoff teams.
And plus South. And plus what they did last week.
Right, plus South, it was a borderline playoff team. I mean, and you're seeing a team that if they don't turn the ball over, Pennsbury should win this game.
I agree with you. Again, here I go agreeing with you, Kev. This is bothering me.
That is scary.
Kev, let's now take a look in Class AAA in District 12 as we have the first District 12 championship game.
Well, the first one with a Catholic League team, and it's Archbishop Wood, who is just...
Well, the first real public versus
Catholic. Yeah. And Archbishop Wood has just been on a roll. They'll play Dobbins this week. And if you look at the way that Wood has just dominated, 44-14 last week. They were a pretty good combo week. And see, I think when you look at it, their defense has been so stout and so impressive. And now they're going to play a physical football team with Dobbins, who loves to run the ball. They don't pass the ball. So I'm interested to see how Wood handles that this week.
The fact that, you know, they've been shutting out most of these teams. They had their shutout streak. You know, they handled Egan very easily. They need a game. You know, I think they'll win this week against Dobbins, but they need a team to punch them back in the mouth just to get them ready, you know, for what's coming next, you know, as they move along in the state playoffs.
And next up after that would be the winner of District 1. And that's 2 weeks down the road. So you're talking about if they win this week, they're going to have a week off, and then they'll play in 2 weeks. So that'll be a little interesting.
And a team they could be facing is number 1 seeded Upper Moreland, which Upper Moreland's playing Owen J. Roberts this week. Last week, Upper Moreland opens up against 8 seeded Phoenixville in a game I thought they were going to have a little problem with. You know, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, they may give you a mercy rule. Turns out the Phantoms were a little bit stouter than we thought. Gave them a good game. Upper Moreland had a fight. You know, they win it by a touchdown.
Upper Moreland is one of those teams that they're going to rely so much on the running game. They're going to just try to pound the football. I think you're going to see them this week. I would expect them to keep going and win pretty easily. And I think we're heading towards that Upper Moreland Wood game, which will be great for that area. Well,
you can't look past Tots Grove, though, which the team Upper Moreland would face probably next week. You know, that could be very interesting, too. Right. So we don't want to get too far ahead of things, but I think they win this week, and I think they advance.
And now it's Drew Markol with the weekly Palisades update.
Well, Kev, up and up for Bucks. Palisades playing in the Class AA District 11 final again. Playing Palmerton, same team they played last year in this spot. They beat them last year. They've beaten Palmerton 3 times in a row. They beat them earlier this season by, I want to say, 13 points. You know, Coach Brian Gilbert's Palisades team, they had a bad loss to Saucon Valley to end the regular season. They had to go on the road to play Pine Grove in a game I thought they were going to lose, and they won it pretty easily.
I could see Palisades from my house.
Oh, God, the things I put up with. We'll be back next week with a look at the teams that survived this week. And
you may not survive this week.
That is always true, Kev. But for Kevin Cooney,
and Captain Pneumonia.
That's right. This is Drew Markol. We will see you next week on In the Huddle.